You know the feeling, right? The person upstairs seems to own a bowling alley. The couple next door argues, loudly, at 3 a.m. Or that thumping bass that you feel in your teeth. Look, neighbor problems are a universal pain. But what if I told you that the second you complain, you're kicking off a secret, high-stakes process that most people never, ever see?
So you do it. You've had enough, and you call the landlord. What do you think happens next? Maybe they get a little warning letter, a slap on the wrist? The truth is, it's way more complicated and honestly, a whole lot more expensive than you could possibly imagine.
Yeah, for the people who own and manage these buildings, a noise complaint isn't just an inconvenience. It's the first spark in a potential financial wildfire. We're talking about a fight that can involve thousands of dollars, the threat of lawsuits, and the very real risk of losing the tenants they actually want to keep.
To really get why this is such a huge deal, we got to look at it from all sides. You've got the person who's being driven completely nuts by the noise, sure, but then you have the person who's making the noise. And this is where the story gets really interesting, and not at all what you'd expect.
Here's a wild, kind of backward truth from the front lines of property management. It's almost never the problem tenant who leaves. It's the good one, the one who pays on time, follows the rules. They just can't take it anymore. So they move out, the problem tenant stays, and the cycle just keeps going. And you can see how this quickly snowballs into a massive, expensive nightmare for the landlords. A single unresolved fight isn't just about someone's happiness. It becomes a direct hit to the building's bottom line, all wrapped up in a ton of legal jeopardy.
Let that number sink in for a second. $5,000 or more. That's what it can cost when just one apartment turns over, whether the good tenant leaves or the bad one has to be evicted. You've got lost rent, repairs, advertising, maybe even lawyer fees. It adds up so fast. And this really lays out the choice property managers are facing. You can see it right here. The cost of trying to mediate a problem is tiny, a fraction of what it costs to go through a full-blown eviction. We're talking a 5-to-1 difference. It's a classic case of spending $1 now to save $5 later.
And here's where the law comes in. It's called the Covenant of Quiet Enjoyment, and it's part of pretty much every lease, even if it's not written down. It means the landlord has a legal responsibility to do something about major disturbances. They can't just throw up their hands and say, work it out. If they do nothing, they can actually get sued for their inaction.
So if ignoring the problem is illegal and expensive, and jumping straight to eviction is a financial disaster, what's left? Well, this is where a totally new idea comes into play. A third option designed to put out the fire instead of just throwing gasoline on it.
Look at the difference here. The old way is just chaos. It's reactive, it's everyone against everyone, and it's all based on a messy he said, she said argument. But this new model, it flips that completely. It's about getting in front of the problem, fixing the relationship, keeping people in their homes, and this is the most important part, basing decisions on actual evidence. And let's be really clear about what this is. This isn't your average security guard showing up at the door, and it's not some expensive lawyer sending threatening letters. This security concierge is something totally new. It's a hybrid that uses the fact-gathering powers of a licensed private investigator and combines them with the peacemaking skills of a professional mediator.
Okay, so how does it actually work? It's a pretty straightforward two-phase process, and the whole point is to take a situation that's pure chaos and emotion and turn it into something clear and manageable. First up, you get the facts. This is where that private investigator license is so key. The investigators will discreetly talk to other neighbors to see if anyone else has noticed a problem. For noise issues, they bring in actual calibrated decibel meters to get hard data. Is it really too loud according to the law, or does it just feel that way? Then they put it all together in a totally neutral report for the landlord that just says, here's what we found. So once everyone has the facts, it's time to make peace. The mediator brings both tenants into a safe, neutral space to talk. And they use this really clever technique called caucusing, where they talk to each person privately. It gives people a chance to float ideas for a compromise without losing face. And the goal, the end product, is a real, written agreement that both people sign, laying out exactly how they're going to live together from now on. When you zoom out, this is about more than just one loud stereo. It points to a totally different way of handling conflict as we all live closer and closer together. It's about using data and de-escalation to build communities that actually work. And at the heart of it is a set of tools that, honestly, all of us could use. It's a system called verbal Judo, and it's brilliant. Instead of telling an angry person to calm down, which,
let's be real, has never worked. You just listen. You let them get it all out. You show empathy. You ask questions to understand, and then you repeat back what you heard. It's a simple but shockingly effective way to take all the energy out of a confrontation.
And this is why it works, because it's based on a fundamental human truth. It doesn't matter who you're talking to, a tenant, your boss, your kid, people respond when they feel like they're being treated with respect. The second you start asking for cooperation instead of demanding it, the entire game changes.
So if there's one thing you take away from all this, it should be this. That one little feud between apartment 2B and 3B, it's not just their problem. It's like a toxin that can seep through the entire building, driving away good people, costing a fortune in legal fees, and wrecking the property's reputation. Solving these problems isn't just a nice thing to do, it's an absolute financial necessity.
And all of this leaves us with a pretty big question to think about. As our cities and buildings get more crowded, maybe the answer isn't just more rules in the lease. Maybe the real future of keeping the peace is about replacing subjective anger with objective data and swapping shouting matches for structured, empathetic conversations.